All praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So we're going to look into this. As you can see, people thought that today was going to be Black Monday. Now, when I was looking at the stock market, I actually knew it wasn't going to be a Black Monday, and I knew that the stock price would contract. When I say contract, I knew the stock price was going to bounce up a little bit, right? As you can see, don't get me wrong, the stock market did open a little lower, right? And I believe, countries all over the world actually have a really big drop because of the tariffs. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Japan had a 10% tariff drop. I mean, not 10% tariff drop, but 10% drop in the stock market, right? And this comes after the news of China announcing that it will do 34% tariffs, right? Now, I'm going to say this. These are what you call birth pains, right? So let's read Matthew chapter 24, verse 8, right? All right, let's see. So let's read down to verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And another verse, it'll say, or in another translation, I'll say all these are a beginning of birth pains, right? So that's the point I wanted to get out, that all these things that are happening right now in the stock market is the beginning of sorrows, it's the beginning of birth pains. So what you're seeing is like a pregnant woman, she contracts one moment, her contractions are a little softer, a little easier. The next moment, her contractions are very intense, right? And then she goes for a little bit, and then she has another contraction to where eventually the water breaks and the delivery comes. And that's what we're going through right now. We're going through a time where the stock market is about to crash, but it's in its contraction phase, right? So that's why you see something like this. Dow Jones, and we're going to do the futures. I'm going to do the futures, Slovakia. So as you can see, it is rebounding. According to the futures, looks like it's about to go right back up to 40,000. So don't let this get you comfortable though, because even though today wasn't Black Monday, we may have such things called Black Weeks, where there may be a week where sometimes the stock market is just dropping many points daily, right? You also have to understand that this is a distraction from the Iran war that Trump is gearing up by sending his ships over to Iran and B-52 bombers over there, right? So let's get out of scripture right here. It says, Revelation chapter 6, verse 6, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Right. So eventually what's going to happen is, despite even with these tariffs, or it's like, despite with the stock market even making that bounce back, the thing is with these tariffs is it's still going to make everything more expensive for us despite the stock market rebounding, right? So we still got the tariffs that we got to pay because of what Trump implemented. And then we also got to suffer the tariffs that the China wants to retaliate with And then you have Trump saying he wants to retaliate with 50% tariffs on China. So it's a trade war where they go back and forth, back and forth. And this uncertainty is really what's going to kill the stock market until eventually um, it's going to be so uncertain that people will just realize it's better to not have money in the stock market after all. And then everyone's just going to start selling. So, brethren, don't get too comfortable yet. Of course, this is good news for us with the Black Monday. Unfortunately, it wasn't a Black Monday. But we know that a Black Monday is coming, and we know most likely a stock market crash is happening this year. So if this lesson was very edifying, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and Shalom.